And we should be live. What is going on? YouTube, podcast people, what is up? Sal Vetri here, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to see the chats populating. If you're watching this on the replay, we're looking at the Korean Baseball League for May 20th on Wednesday. We have just our typical size slates of 5 games, another 50K to first, 150K to first prize pool in general. So looking forward to this slate tonight. I haven't played in like the last 2 days. Obviously, there was no Korean baseball yesterday, but to the people entering to the chat, I'll answer your questions for sure. So what's up? Just want to let you know that I don't put this content out every day because it's so hard to make content around for Korean baseball, not because of the information. I just revamped the database. There's a ton of data now going out there. You can see we have a lot of data right here. But the main reason why is pretty much you're getting these slates starting at 5:30 in the morning. You don't have starting pitchers and news until, I'm recording this at 6:30 p.m. East Coast time. You don't have that news until like an hour ago. So like by the time I have to do it in a live stream format, so I don't have to edit it and wait for it to upload, and it reaches you quicker so people want to see it before they go to bed at like 10 p.m. East Coast time, right? For most people that watch my content. So it's just hard, but in that sense, I'm going to try and make these live streams 1 to 3 times a week, but I do cover Korean baseball every single day. So if you like these data sheets, if you like the projections I'm about to share with you, go down below to Patreon. You can get access to that as well as all sports. All sports, even when they come back. I'm running this for a limited time only. You get access to all my Patreon content. When golf comes back, all the other stuff that's going to be coming back. Of course, we still have the esports going, MMA, all that stuff right now. So be sure to check all of that out. If you're in the comments section watching this live right now, feel free to hop in, say whatever you want. Any questions, I will be sure to answer them while we're on the live stream. But just looking at the slate right now, I have my projections done. I have my rankings done. I have all of that stuff right now officially done. So I'm looking forward to this slate, and I'm going to really just take the time here now, and I see a couple people popping in. I'm going to take the time to just go through the pitchers. I focus so much on pitchers and projections, and then after that, obviously, your stack rankings. I'm going to look at pitchers, obviously, on an individual basis because you need to. That's the only way that you can go about it. Compared to players, I'm not really going to be looking at individual batters on an individual basis. Like one-off, sure, but for the most part, I'm looking at the stacks, and that's going to fill out 85% or 80% of my lineups on most nights. So I'm not too concerned with really looking at individualized batters and hitters as much as the pitchers. So a lot of my information and data will be focusing on that. I have stack rankings. I have projections that go into individual players that get accumulated into a stack ranking, which is over on Patreon. You can check that out. And right now what I'm looking at in terms of my interest for pitchers, and I could pull this up and I could share it with you. I'm just going to filter the data on my end. And my highest projected pitcher on the slate tonight is going to be Dan Strelly. He is the cover boy, the pitcher, in his actual Giants uniform, the Latte Giants. So 15.7 fantasy points is what I've been projected for. The highest value pitcher on the slate at just $7,000. So I'm going to be getting to Dan Strelly a decent amount. I mean, what you're looking at right now out of Dan Strelly in general, you're looking at a really good K rate, 28.4%. It's going to be the third highest on the slate. You have so far a decent amount of innings pitched too. 17 innings pitched is the most out of any pitcher on the slate. So not only do you have the pitcher who's throwing the most pitches on the slate, having the most innings pitched in general, you're actually getting one favorite here at minus 140 over Kia, who's an even team today. But then you're also getting 28.4% strikeout rate, which some of these pitchers don't have a huge sample. Like Chang Ming-Hu has a crazy 36.7% strikeout rate and a good amount of innings too at 14 innings. But Dan Strelly is just going to have a more solidified overall innings pitch. And obviously we know what to expect. Dan Strelly, a former MLB player, most notably with the, I believe he was on Miami Marlins, but he was most notably on the Baltimore Orioles. So you can see that his strikeout rate is going to be pretty peak here. You can see that the opponents that he's facing, the lowest home run percentage dating back to the beginning of last year, and his opponent today against Kia, it's going to be by far the lowest that you're looking at runs per game. So this is just a really good matchup. Dan Strelly comes in as the third cheapest pitcher on the slate with the biggest sample size on the season out of all of these specific pitchers here, and I'm liking him the most in terms of my projections. So Dan Strelly's popping off the most for me. I'm going to just right now quickly update these colors here, little on-air show, and I'll show you right now. Here's a little guide if you're watching live right now on how to pretty much go through and color code live in a quick format. Bang and bang. Cool. That'll help for the rest of this. So you can see that the walk percentage on Dan Strelly is also going to be right now maybe the biggest concern for him, a 9% walk rate. It's going to be the fourth highest in the slate. So it's right around average, but there's some really bad walk rates. I mean, you're talking about 15.6% for Choi. You're talking about 12.8% for Tyler Wilson. Tyler Wilson, former Baltimore Oriole as well. But right now it's going to be Dan Strelly standing out the most. And then Chris Flexen. So former MLB players tonight are going to be the ones that are standing tall. Chris Flexen, a 24.5% strikeout rate. That's a solid strikeout rate as well. You're only getting a 4.1% 40% walk percentage. That is the third lowest on the slate. Now, if you go back to last year, the matchup against the NC Dinos, and Chris Flexen is going to look good here because you have to weight the win so heavily. There's not a lot of strikeouts in general in this league, and we're starting to see a little bit more as more MLB pitchers are getting involved, but more so than not, you have to rely on the win percentage and the win rate and upside. So with Chris Flexen being a minus 140 favorite for a team in Duzen that's supposed to be the big favorite over the Dinos today, it does look like a nice shot. But this is a scary matchup because you look at it and the projection is going to look nice because a favorite that has just good win upside here and has a good stuff. And right now NC Dinos, they're a solid team. Struggling maybe a little bit as of late, but a solid team dating back to last year. A little bit of a lineup changes, but you're seeing that Chris Flexen is going to be maybe more of a sketchier player, but probably somebody that is going to be one of my higher exposed players. Is my second highest projected pitcher at a price point that comes in at the second highest price. I feel like these scores are always high in the games. Yeah, I don't know, maybe they stand out a little bit more. What's going on, Dan? So, yeah, Dan Straley's on a tier of his own tonight for pitchers for me. Tyler Wilson, you go down a little bit more. So, Tyler Wilson tonight, not having a good season by any means, but Tyler Wilson is going to find himself as a minus 195 favorite, the second highest favorite on the slate. His left on base percentage is 56.3%. So, if anything, like that number should regress. So, I have that in green, if you could see here in column Q. Left on base, if that's a high number, like 100% left on base through 14 innings, you're not going to leave 100% of runners on base. You're going to regress. But when you're at 56%, that means you're getting unlucky. So, that's due probably to regress more times than not. Giving up 1.74 home runs per 9. Tyler Wilson right now looks scary. 7.84 overall ERA. But look, again, right, we're talking about 10.1 innings pitched for the guy, right? He's been out there for like 2 or 3 games at this point. So $7,500. He's my third highest projected player at the pitcher position today at 14.3. It's going to look sketchy, but I think it keeps people off of him in general. The opponent that he's facing in terms of batting averages, it's going to be one of the lowest, the second lowest on the overall slate dating back to the start of last year. Home run rate is there, though, for a pitcher who gives up home runs. So Wilson is at risk in GPPs if he was to get higher ownership to be somebody that I go away from because he's a guy that in a small sample size has given up home runs. But when you're talking about 10 innings pitched and a guy with a 1.7 home runs per 9, I mean, it's literally the smallest sample possible. You give up 2 home runs in that time, and that's going to spike a lot of stuff for you. So Tyler Wilson is going to be my third highest. So right now, I put Dan Straley on a tier of his own out of the pitchers, and then Flexen and Wilson on a tier of their own after that. And then my next 2 pitchers are going to be on sort of tier 3 of their own. They are my 2 Bs right now. So I have Dan Straley as an A. I have Chris Flexen as an A as well. But I might put Chris Flexen as an A minus only because of the fact that I'm not as interested in him as Dan Straley, and I don't want it to appear like that in the projections over on Patreon and the rankings. Tyler Wilson's a B+, and then Changmin Koo and Jae-Sung Bae are both going to be Bs for me. So, and when you look at it this way, Jae-Sung Bae is going to come in here right now at 13.8 projection, and Changmin Koo are 13.9. So pretty much toss-ups. When you factor in price points, I mean, Changmin Koo is $10,000, the most expensive pitcher on the slate, and then Jae-Sung Bae is the second cheapest pitcher on the slate at $6,900. So these two are going to be miles different in terms of how much interest I have in actually getting to them when it comes to fitting different players into my lineups, right? So when it comes to Jae-Sung Bae, going to be updated to a B+ based on the pricing because it comes in as my second highest value pitcher, whether it's cash or GPPs, at a 2.00 value, 13.8 fantasy points, a minus 190 favorite at a cheap price point is $6,900. 13.1 innings pitched so far this year. That's actually going to be the third highest in the slate, so you have a nice sample size there. Terrible when it comes to strikeouts, so you need that win. But being a minus 190 favorite is good. It at least ensures the win a little bit more. Team is projected for 5.75 implied runs. 1.35 innings pitched, so you're seeing good things there. Not walking any batters. Lowest walk rate on the slate, not striking out anybody either, though. You're having the second lowest strikeout rate on the slate, but you're facing an opponent that comes in with the highest strikeout rate on the slate dating back to the start of last year. That's very good to see. Gagnon looks like a steal at 6,700, so somebody hops into there. Not for me today. I have him projected for just 12.8 points, which would be the 7th most on the slate out of pitchers. So, I mean, it's a name that you notice, but not for me today. But, I mean, it's somebody who won't be owned, so I'll give you that much. So, 12.8 is a 1.91 value. So, yeah, Gannon would be my third highest rated value tied with Tyler Wilson today. So, for me, he's a C. So, he's graded as a C today. He is, out of the 12 pitchers starting, or 10 pitchers starting on the slate today, he is my 6th to 7th, right there, tied for 6A, 6B in terms of pitching. But yeah, I think Jae-Sung Bae is a very interesting option today. Cheap pitcher, same exact projection for me as the most expensive pitcher on the slate. Is not going to get you strikeouts, but lots of pitchers aren't going to get you that many strikeouts in this league just in general. Batters don't strike out, pitchers don't have put away stuff. It's just a worse league in general. So I think if the win is there today at that price point, it'll give enough value to open up higher stacks in your lineup. So I'm going to update Jae-Sung Bae as I talk through this as a B+ in my rankings over on Patreon, just because of the price point being miles different. I mean, a $3,100 difference than the most expensive player who I also have at a similar projection. And then a bunch of guys just fall into like no man's land for me. So Drew Gagnon, as Millie says in the chat, would be the one player after that stands out that I haven't mentioned out of the final 5 pitchers. So Shang-Hung Lee, Drew Ganning, and Mingjing Jae are all projected for around 12 to 12.5 fantasy points for me. Obviously, the difference there is that the cheapest one is Drew Gannon, the cheapest pitcher on the slate at 6,700. Most expensive is Shi-Hung Lee, which is going to be my 4th lowest value pitcher on the slate. So probably somebody I don't get to all that much, even as a huge favorite, right? A minus 205 favorite, the biggest favorite on the slate, but a 12.5% strikeout rate. That's the lowest on the slate. A 10% walk rate. That's the 3rd highest on the slate. This stuff is not good at all. It's not something that I really want to be looking at. The left on base percentage is also going to be in a situation where that probably is going to be, if anything, likely to benefit him in terms of regressing his way. You're facing a team with a high home run percentage, so not a lot there. Like, if you're going to bet on a win percentage at such a high favorite, I'd rather do it at a lower price point, right? 8,100 compared to 6,900. Similar win rates for Jae-Sung Bae and Shang-Hung Lee. Similar strikeout rates. Both are bad at it. Shang-Hung Lee's more expensive and worse, and he has a much, much higher strikeout or walk percentage at 10% compared to 3.7. So I'm probably going to stay away from there. Not somebody that I expect to get to all that much. Drew Gannon would be my main C on the slate in terms of a C pitcher when you factor in price points. And then the final 2 guys that I'm not really going to get to any today are the 7,700 and 7,900. So I really don't like the 7K range all that much. Like, Wilson is a GPP fade if he's highly owned for me, but just looking down a little bit more here. Not going to get to much of Choi today. Not going to get to much of Park today. I think they're just both very meh players. Like, I don't have any major concerns with either. They're both right now sporting through about 10, 11 innings pitched apiece, around 26% strikeout rates on average. I mean, a 15.6% walk percentage for Choi at that price point. Not something that I want to touch at all, really. So, and it's just a factor of Tyler Wilson's in that range and he's cheaper. Dan Straley is way cheaper at $7,000 flat, and then Jae-Sung Bae at $6,900. So, yeah, the best pitchers on the slate to me seem to be at $7,500 or below. Dan Straley is my first highest ranked pitcher today, then Chris Flexen, then Tyler Wilson, and then I would probably put Jae-Sung Bae 4th at $6,900 as the best pitcher below. There's only 2, but the best pitcher below $7,000, right at $7,000, though Dan Straley stands out to me. So that's how my projections are looking for pitchers. Again, if you want anything to do with hitters, you're going to say, Sal, what about all the hitters? I'm very focused on stacks. I have stack rankings over on Patreon. I have my exact projections that you can see with the rankings over on Patreon. This data sheet's over there as well. So if you want to get that, along with all the other sports that I cover, it is going to be linked down below in the description. It's right down there right now. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, it is patreon.com/Sal_Vetri_, which is down below in the description. Easier to probably click the link for you, but you can check that out. I'm probably going to do these streams 1 to 2 times a week, honestly, because it's hard just the logistics with the time that these start to get the content out. But number 2, I'm putting together a lot of NFL content right now, and that's going to generate a lot of traffic from an audience that likes the NFL, and a lot of those people probably don't like Korean baseball. They're not DFS hardos for the most part, so I don't want to be counterintuitively putting out a ton of NFL content to attract those people, and then also be putting out a ton of Korean baseball content, and they're going to be completely detracted the second that they see my content. So I'll be doing these live streams 1 to 2 times a week, but you can be assured that every single slate will be covered over on Patreon if indeed you want to be playing these slates more often. So be sure to get that. Appreciate it. My name is Sal. Thank you for tuning into this one. Once again, my top 3 rated pitchers on the slate tonight by a mile, Dan Straley when you factor in price point, and my highest projected pitcher, then Chris Flexen, Tyler Wilson, and Jae-Sung Bae in those order. Those are my top 4 pitchers tonight. Check out the rankings over on Patreon for the pitchers every single day, and as well as the stack rankings. Hit the subscribe button before you go. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. Stay safe out there, and I will see you all in the next one.